Welcome, everyone. We know building data products isn't always easy. Between governance gaps, rework, and the jump from prototype to production, it can feel like an uphill climb. That's why today is all about a better way forward. Mike O'Donnell will show you how to cut friction, add trust and context, and use automation to deliver data products that are reusable, discoverable, and AI ready. Let's dive right in. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jessica. We'll catch you at the end. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Michael O'Donnell, as you know and heard. I am a senior analyst here at Quest. I work in the product marketing team. And despite the label, marketing is not so much of the work that I do. It's more about analysis of my business domain. And that business domain is data, the world of data, specifically data management. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. Super interesting topic for me today is data products. I've been a big fan of data products for a couple of years now, and the benefits that they can bring organizations, and specifically process improvement, improved quality, increased speed, and all the good things that Lean and Six Sigma speak about. So, without further ado, let me start in a not so obvious place. Okay, digital twins. You might be wondering, why am I starting with digital twins? I'm going to say it's because I want you to rethink what you know about data management, specifically in the world of agentic AI. Okay, in the world of agentic AI, the challenge is going to be keeping up with autonomy and automation. And when we look at that world, we're going to have to put in some guardrails, policies pretty fast in order for us to not just keep up, but in order to benefit from this new technology that we have. So with that said, the digital twins have been around for a while. And someone, somewhere, there's a few people have said this, but specifically a guy called Kai Mueller. I stumbled across his name. And he said that he wants to save a third of his working time by 2025 with help from his digital twin. Now, he's the CEO of Experience One. Okay? And so where this comes from is people wanting to have a virtual colleague, or let's say for our world, it could be a virtual data steward that would have a certain degree of autonomy and would take on some of the laborious tasks that a data steward may not want to do. Okay, now there's fine lines in between of, may not want to do but have to do. So we won't get into that. What's interesting though is when you apply that digital twin to the CEO, and I start to think about how the digital twin has access to the entire company, the company's entire ecosystem of data. They have access to everything in terms of performance, sales, marketing, etc. Maybe not HR, and I guess that's the question about ethics, about should a CEO have access to all this information. I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to get into is, why would you want a digital twin of a CEO? And for me, it's obvious. It's being able to ask the questions very quickly and get answers very quickly. So last week sales dropped off. Why? What were the drivers? What happened? A quarter of your sales were off-site on a meeting. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Maybe it's a little bit too obvious, but there might be other drivers behind what's driving a decrease in sales that may not be too obvious when you're looking at the data that a virtual assistant would have access to very quickly. Okay, but there's other benefits that you might have. Some of them are executive amplification, that the executives are using that digital twin to soundboard ideas before bringing them to the CEO for sign off on the leader strategy. Okay, others might be for crisis readiness, like in emergencies. A digital twin could provide guidance or pre-approved decision playbooks in the absence of a CEO. Knowledge transfer for succession plans. But for me, I think the obvious ones are more about day-to-day strategy, week to week, month to month, year to year, where you can run these simulations and get some really quick answers. Now, I mean, the big question is, if you have a digital CEO, do you actually need a CEO? I'm not going to answer that question today. It's maybe ping me, and we can chat offline. That said, when you start thinking about the requirements for future data management in that world that you have a digital twin of a CEO or a virtual assistant, what data management capabilities would you need in order for that degree of autonomy and that degree of automation? What data management capabilities would you require? And I made a bit of an attempt to answer these. These are certainly not written in stone. Some of them are quite obvious. I'm going to call out two that are super obvious. AI Trism is super obvious. And if you haven't heard about it, definitely go Google that. Trism, I came across it when I was researching Gartner. The core idea of AI Trism is, I suppose Trism stands for trust, risk, and security management. The core idea is to anticipate and mitigate AI failures. So, of course, that's now relevant in today's world. Okay. That second one I find super interesting today is looking at data observability. When you look at data quality might be putting monitoring alerts on your data quality tolerances. Data observability takes it one step further. And if you don't know what observability is, it's that I can tell you something's wrong, but I can also tell you where it came from and how to fix it. And observability is based on those three components of traces, logs, and metrics. And if you have all three of those, you're able to shape the information in order for the user to go and fix the problem. Now, in the future, you're taking that onto the next obvious step, and that is automated remediation with agents, which is great. Okay. But again, that one question comes up about autonomy. Where does that autonomy stop, or where should it stop? Again, I'm not going to get into it today because I want to talk about data products. You might be wondering, well, where's the data products? I'm going to get into it, but I just want you to remember these words: autonomy, automation, agents, and rethinking data management in an agentic AI era. Okay? Those are the core North Star that we're moving towards and that we're going to reverse engineer. The core component of that vision is the data product. Okay. I want to introduce you to, I'm sure you all know that what a data fabric is and data mesh is, but what you may not know is certainly the debate behind data centralization or data decentralization has pretty much abated. You don't get that debate anymore, and that's because things have settled down. So just for today, just for everyone to be aware, the data fabric provides the connected automation, standards, and intelligence. Data mesh provides the organizational model and accountability, and data products are the common denominator, the currency of trust and value between them. So data products are a unit of value to the organization, and that's why they're so interesting, because data by itself doesn't have measurable value. Data products has a measurable value, and that makes them super interesting. Now, I kind of glossed over the fact that the debate between centralized and decentralized data is no more. It's still going on, but not to the same degree as it used to. It's because people have pretty much settled that data mesh and data fabric can coexist together, and that's and I think the key there has been data products. Data products has settled in that it's the domain ownership, and that is provided via centralized ownership, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Makes sense in my mind. And here you can see that the circles on the top layer are your domain ownership, and then the bottom centralized fabric is promoted via central IT. Okay. So now, with the view that characteristics of a data product, I think, was interesting to me because you can't. They're almost abstract. They're 2 seconds now. Okay, so characteristics of data products, they're almost abstract. They don't really help you build. Okay, they're frameworks to follow and to guide you through. I'm not going to highlight all 7 of these. I think the two most important ones for me are discoverability and trustworthiness. When it comes to trustworthiness, high data quality, consistency, freshness, reliability. Also, clarity around service levels and possibly quality scoring or metrics so consumers can understand confidence. Super, super important when it comes to trustworthiness, because you're not going to use the data if it's not trustworthy. Okay. And the discoverability portion is about that reusability. Data products are supposed to be reusable. Not only should they solve a problem, but they should also be reusable in their composition. Okay, so many different characteristics of a data product. Well, I'm more interested in components of a data product. The nature of a data product is that they generally solve unique problems. Unique to the organization, because organizations are generally unique in terms of their environments and history and legacy and product and strategy and objectives, etc. But that said, you can see that there's a lot of commonality between organizations. There's an IT, by functions, they're by frameworks, by technology, etc. Okay, and the same applies with data products. And what I've figured out in my analysis about data products are that there are quite a lot of common activities that support a data product. I'm going to call out some of them. We've got data inputs, check, that's an obvious one. Pipelines and transformation code, check, that's another obvious one. If it's not obvious, then I'm not sure the benefit of this call for you. Storage state, that's a little bit of a uncertain one, but access to the data, metadata and documentation, super important. Testing and quality checks, security and access control, ownership and discoverability. Okay, so once you build those components of a data product, you're in good shape for having a scalable, usable, reusable data product. There are components that I've been looking at that are worthy to have as edge cases, so I'm going to call out some of those. There's versioning and backward compatibility. SLAs, non-functional guarantees, so that's performance, latency, uptime commitments. Monitoring and observability, so you're looking at drift detection, anomaly alerts, auto remediation, trust and value metrics, qualified scoring of quality, usage, and ROI. Super important. So when you look at your data products, you're solving a problem, you want them to be valuable. What is the return of investment from that data product? And I'm not saying about revenue, but you should have some measure of value on that data product. Synthetic data extensions, because you are building a data product, you may not have that raw data. You may need to get in data to support that data product, buying in synthetic data. Compliance and ethic tags, interoperability standards, so that's built to play well across clouds and platforms, and lifecycle management, so archival, deprecation, retirement processes, etc. I think actually that should be part of the main list, but we'll take a look at that over time. Now, Irina Steenbeek here is fantastic. Do follow her on Twitter or LinkedIn. So she said recently, the set of constituent components varies per industry authorities. Therefore, companies reinvent and adjust this concept to their needs. And that's what she's saying there is data products don't have a really strong definition that is this, well known across different organizations. For me, it's about having trustworthy compiled data sets that solve a problem, that add value, that's reusable. Okay, so I think that's enough of an introduction into data products. But if you're still not there yet, if you're just only getting started and you've just saw the components of a data product and the characteristics of a data product, and that might sound very complex and really hard to get up and running as a program, fear not, it's not very hard at all. I'm going to give you a very, very quick story. Last week we met up with our financial director. She was going through some figures and numbers, and everyone in the room, there's maybe 20 people in the room, were like, "Oh, that's some good. That's really good data. We'd all love to have that access to that data." So that data was in an Excel file, and she spends quite a lot of time curating that Excel file because the data comes from different data sources. And then already now you should be thinking, many different data sources. That's difficult. I don't know how I never actually asked her how much time she spends curating the Excel file, but we agreed that we would certainly take that work off our hands, build a data model, and then build something that would be usable by everyone on the team. Just so happens we're going to build a Power BI report. Now, I'm not saying that we should. I'm not saying that data products are all Power BI reports, but I'm saying that in this particular use case, it would be useful for everybody to work from the same report. Okay. Very small problem. Moving Excel into Power BI, joining up multiple data sources, providing lineage to the transformations, and checking in on freshness of the data, making sure that the data has been refreshed according to her cadence. That's important, right? But it came out of what's a recurring business question, and we can go into the business and ask any function, ask those questions, help them out, look for different multiple data sources that are combined into one data set, and you're well on your way to building a data product. Okay, that's a top tip. And if I haven't sold you already yet on data products, let me just find my slide. Here are some additional benefits of a data product. So there's these reports are from McKinsey, our own state of data intelligence, and looking at data products, and the EDM Council as well. McKinsey reported 30 to 40% cost savings per versus custom pipelines. And what we're seeing there is data engineering teams work on project after project after project that are not reusable projects. They are very specific to those use cases, versus looking at wider use cases and saying, okay, I could actually build a data product that serves many different use cases. It is reusable. And if they start looking at their data projects with that in mind, you can start actually becoming faster with implementation. You can see here by the EDM Council, 90% faster implementation of new use cases. More importantly for me, because I'm a big fan of interacting with the business and solving business problems, is the statistic from the Quest Irwin State of Data Intelligence. And that came out with 71% call business IT alignment significant or game-changing. What they're saying is, with data products, you are solving real business problems with real business value to the organization. But I am here to introduce you to data products and how Quest Irwin can help you with those data product programs. I'm going to start with introducing you to the Quest Irwin Data Management Platform. Okay, it helps you treat it as a vehicle to deliver your data product programs. core to that will be the data trust scores. Okay. On top of that, I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. But on top of that, I want you to put a pin on this AI enabled innovation. Okay. AI enabled innovation. And that is something that's super, super interesting for me. And it's going to be super, super interesting for you because you might be looking at data products that are taking 8 weeks or more or less. More or less, 4 to 8 weeks is general good timeline for a data product. But what if I said to you, I can cut it down to 2 weeks? What if I said to you that I can cut a data product down to its core components in 5 minutes? Hold that thought. We'll jump into that in a few minutes. As I said before, data products are supposed to be reusable and they're supposed to add value to the organization. But if a data isn't used, if it has a low trust score, then it's not going to add as much value as you think it's going to add. So what's important for your data product is for it to have a high trust score. If it's got a high trust score, people are going to use it. And if people are using it, it's going to add value to your organization. Okay. I'm actually going to show you Quest Irwin with data products in a few minutes. So I'm going to jump out of slides so that you can actually see this in operation. It's not just slideware. Okay. So here we are. This is the front-facing, the front portal, what we call the marketplace of data intelligence. You can see the different components of the marketplace. Here, you've got the data value score, and I've just clicked into the data products, and I've just here we are. It's a localized view, so not many data products in here. There's 4 right now. And you can see that some of them have different levels of trust. You can see here on the right that they've got user ratings, but more importantly, this trust score. This is, I think it's 85%. And you can see here that most of them are pretty good, except the data quality score. The data quality score is driving that down. And in order for me to improve that score, I should look into the data quality score and try and drive that up a bit. Okay, so I wanted to take a quick look at the data products. I wanted to go in and see what they are, how they compare to others. I've got 85%, 65%, and 46%. What is the difference between them? What data set do they come from? And who are the data set owners and the data stewards? And quickly I can see these data products have quite a lot of information in here, but I want to take another look at these with a deeper set. The Customer Care Plus is an obvious candidate here for me to explore, to see if it's worth my if it's worth exploring a little bit more. I can go into this individual data product. I'm getting quite a lot of the same information, but earlier I was comparing to see which one was more useful to me. Okay, all good. I can see here use cases, business reports, contracts, environments, tables. Great. So there's an audit history there, and yeah. So I am going to explore this a little bit further. This view is a much better view for me. This is your 360-degree view of the data. You can see it's much more colorful, much more provides much more depth than the previous view of the data. You can see here on the left, you can see where the data sets and the data sources are, and on the right, who is consuming this data product. You've got Power BI reports, the Databricks marketplace, churn prediction, the sources, third-party flat files, data models, and consumer banking, Northwind, etc. Okay, so for me, this is a fabulous way of making your data products discoverable on the marketplace and reusable via the marketplace too. So that's why I always say Quest Irwin is a vehicle for you to deliver your data products. But So far, we've always relied on you guys building the data product and then adding it to the data intelligence suite. With that said, hold that thought. And I'm going to show you something in a few minutes that's kind of pretty cool. And remember what I said before? Rethinking data management in an agentic AI era? Hold that thought. Okay, so I was talking about, we looked at data products, we looked at trust scores, and I asked you to put a pin on AI-enabled innovation. And this is part of the conversation around rethinking data management in an agentic AI era. What we're doing with Irwin is building in agents and leveraging Gen AI LLMs to help automate some of the tasks that you may not actually want to do yourself because they're super laborious. They take quite a long time. The benefit to you is you get this time crunch. It just compresses time down from hours down to minutes. And that's a huge benefit for you. All within your control. That said, we're not in the autonomy world yet. We're still in that automation world. So for example, I talk about, jobs to be done and the different tasks that are required to deliver on a job, to execute on a job. So a job might be at the level of a data model or a data product, the different activities that you might have to do to deliver that data product. Building a data model, generating APIs, transformations, etc., etc. All of those manual tasks are starting to get automated. And we've already started that via the latest release of Irwin 15.0, where we looked at LLMs to look at to dig into the business glossary and ask, is there any gaps in our business glossary? And if there's any gaps in the business glossary, can you propose definitions in order to fill the business glossary? Fantastic. The business glossary is one of the hardest things to do. So this is a big, big, big time savings for our customers. What we're seeing is the onboarding of a new data source we saw was, you're ranging from 30 to 60 days, 1 to 2 months, and you're bringing that right down to 3 to 6 days. So within a week, you can onboard a new data source. That's a massive 10 to 20x in time savings. Going to my point, that if you look at all those tasks that you need to do that all add up to deliver on a job, and the future of agentic AI, what other tasks can be automated to deliver and execute that job? Okay. And with that in mind, I'm going to get into something pretty cool. And again, it's in that realm of rethinking data management in an agentic AI era. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is the autonomous data product. Now it's automated. Is it truly autonomy? It's automated. I'll be honest. But we're going to automate a data product. Yeah. Something that could take 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to automate it, and we're going to have it done in about 5 minutes. So bear with me. Here we go. So this is the autonomous data product creation. We've got 2 components here. We've got on the left-hand side, you've got the natural language input, and on the right-hand side, you have the data model section. So I've just put in some data here. It's order tracking. I'm trying to build a data product around our customer order, product, and shipment. Okay. And it just came back there pretty quick, and it just said, hey, there's some regulatory compliance issues here, financially, industry, business, ontology, FIBO is necessary. And I'm going to say, okay, at least it's understanding what I'm saying, and I'm going to say, no thanks, this is for a prototype. So I'm just going to skip all that. Okay. And now it will come back with follow-up questions, and I will say, please create the model right. So I mean, my use case has nothing to do with financial regulations. That's fair. Okay, and there it is. This is the data model. So you can see the first thing it does, it tries to understand my use case, and it tries to figure out what data would I need. So it came back again with, and it tries to figure out what data would I need? Okay, I did a pretty good job as well. And what you can see here is it's looking into my existing data intelligence repository. It can look at LLM generated, so it looks into its own memory, and then it might actually have some gaps. And so, what is the next step? The next step I'll search for is the data in my environment. So the model was great. It's a logical model, and it's theoretical. What it's doing now is saying is like, okay, if this is your data model, do you have the data to support this data model? And it says, yes, I do, because I can see here that it has 100% match on customer, order, and product. Okay, all very normal. So this algorithm in this case enables this data product to quickly build. Now, here's the thing about when you go to build a data product with a tool like this, you may be missing data. So anytime I'm saying we're going to compress time from 8 weeks to 1 week, I'm giving you time to go and source that data. So it's more about the elapsed time versus the effort. Okay. So it created a model for me. I have the data. I'm satisfied with the data. And based on the model, everything is hunky-dory. And I think at this stage, I'm going to proceed and create the data product itself. Okay. So just click the button there, create product. Let's give it a name, order tracking data product. Okay, create. And that's it. Yep, that was it. I think that was about 3 minutes. We just created a data product. Now, what I'm going to do is this tool automatically populates it in data intelligence. So I'm just going to swing over to there and take a look. Okay, and here it is. There is my data product. Now the quality score is low. That's fine. It was just created, so there's some work to be done there in order to improve that quality. And we'll look into those components of the trust score to take a look. And let's take a look at the mind map. And we can see is everything's there. Yeah. On the left hand side, I can see my data sources, and on the right hand side, I can already see policies, analytics, the glossary. Everything is there, and where it might be consumed. And there is PII. It's already picking up PII. It generated definitions and associations. It's pretty much pulled everything together, which is absolutely fantastic. So when it comes down to how much time do you spend searching for data and building these things, this is going to be an absolute time saver for you. And I'm super, super excited by this. Okay, great. I mean, so earlier when I was talking about rethinking data management in an agentic AI era, I'm not joking. We need to really, really consider how the user experience, because if we're abstracting and automating a lot of these tasks that are the summation to deliver on a job, then we can start looking at the user experience. Do we have to go into a data modeling client in order to deliver a data product? Because if the unit of value is the data product, shouldn't we spend more time on the data product? And we're not the only ones that are saying this. What we're seeing from Gartner very recently, they come out with the view that in time, the data management point solutions are going to converge onto a data management platform. And why it's important for you is to start thinking about what tools you have as you mature as an organization in your data management practices. So just remember this quote from Russell Ackoff: "A system is not the sum of the behaviors of its parts; it is rather the product of their interaction. The performance of a system depends on how the parts work together, not how they operate individually." Okay, so I'm reinforcing the point that a converged data management platform is going to be the future, and you will benefit dramatically with that converged data platform. And what we are already seeing is when you combine these point solutions into one, the data modeling into data intelligence and the catalog and the data product, you get this tremendous value from the convergence of these capabilities. And that's what you're going to see from us in the very near future. And I'm very, very excited by this. You're going to see Quest Irwin starting to really drive home how data management can change in the agentic AI era. We are already building this converged solution, and I can't wait for you guys to try it out yourselves. I think that's it for me. Jessica, over to you. I'm here for any questions. Please don't hesitate to ask.